Hello YouTube, this is Jay Coder back with another stream, and today we're continuing the previous lesson that we were working on before. We're working on the Tip Time app that we did all the code for already, but now we're just making the UI more polished. And so last time we left off around step number 6 from the code lab, create a more polished UI experience. And so without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with that, and I'm going to post the link of the code lab just so everyone can be able to continue to follow along. And if you have not built the Tip Time app yet, you can reference the previous videos where we build that app step by step, referencing other previous collabs. Alright, so basically, also I have my Android Studio here, and I have the Tip Time application here, and so we're actually leaving off where basically where we are basically we are adding these icons and positioning these fields over so that the icons can have room. So that's basically what we're doing. I have already went ahead and copied the code to be able to do that, but I'm gonna also go over the steps on how we added the icons and moved over the fields. So step 6 is next insert the service bell icon next to the how was the service text view. Well, you could also I'm gonna go ahead and mute the music really quick just so you all can hear me and everything. And so it says next insert the service bell icon to the how was the service next to the how was the service text view. While you could declare image view anywhere within the constraint layout, your XML layout will be easier to read if you insert the new image in the XML layout after the text input layout, but before the service question text view. For the new image view, assign it a resource ID icon service question. Set the appropriate constraints on the image view and the service question text view. Also, add 16 dp top margin to the service question text view so that there's more vertical space between the service question and the cost of service text field above it. So now we're adding this bell there, and we're adding the image view before this text how was the service. And so this service question here, we're adding the icon and everything, and the top margin 16 dp, and we add the image here with all of these attributes here, and you add that to the actual XML inside your project. So the activity main.xml, that's where it's going to be added. And so basically we're adding this image view here, which is this bell here, which is this code here. And so this code is actually being added before this text here, how was the service text. And so All right. And so says at this point, the design view should look like this. The cost of service field and service question and their respective icons look great, but the radio buttons now look out of place. They aren't vertically aligned with the content above it. Improve the positioning of the radio buttons by shifting them to the right underneath service question. That means updating a radio group constraint can constrain the starting edge of the radio group to the starting edge of the service question text view. All other attributes on the radio group can remain the same. So the objective is to move all of this over to align with the how was the service. And so to do that, you add this line of code to the radio group, and yeah, you add that add this line to the radio group, and let's go ahead and let me show you that inside the code here. So inside the code here, we're gonna go ahead and find that, and let's see, right there. And so this bell, well, actually that's, we're adding it here to this radio group actually. So notice it says radio group, and so this is going to be the whole complete container of the 3 radio buttons. And so what we are saying is when we are adding this, is the layout constraint to the start of service question. So we're going to hook this to the start of this, so this, both of these can be aligned. And this was constrained to the bottom, so it's also constrained to the bottom of the service question as well. So basically that's what they are doing right now. So then proceed with the adding the IC roundup icon to the layout next to the roundup tips switch. Try doing this on your own. If you get stuck, you can consult the XML below. You can assign the new image view a resource ID of icon roundup. In the layout XML, insert a new image view after the radio button, but before the switch material widget. Assign the image view a resource ID of icon roundup and set the source compact to the drawable of the icon drawable IC roundup. Constrain the start of the image view to the start of the parent, and also vertically center the icon relative to the switch material. Update switch material to be next to the icon and have a 16 dp start margin. This is what the resulting XML should look like for icon roundup and roundup switch. So it wants us, to add the new icon for the rounding up, which is going to be this image view, and it's going to be added before this switch here. So basically this is the switch, and this is the new icon that they wanted us to add. So this is the code for the icon, and also it includes the proper constraints that is needed to be able to display in this way here. So this is the button, this is the switch, this is the arrow. So yeah, so basically, this is the proper code for that, and cool. So the design view should look like this. All three icons are currently positioned. So the layout should look like this so far with the icons right here. And if you compare this with the final app screenshot, you'll notice that the calculator button is also shifted over to align vertically with the cost of service field. Service questions, radio button options, and round up tip question achieve this look by constraining the start of the calculate button to the start of the round up switch. Also add 8 dp of vertical margin between the calculator button and the switch. So basically, they want the button to align with the round up tip. And before, this button was going all the way to the end of the screen here, but they said a better look would be to have the button lined up with the round up switch here. And so they were saying to add these lines to the button. So basically, you know, the button here has the 8 dp on the top, and the constraint start is the start of this. And so yeah, so great, we had that. And so last but not least, position tip result by adding 8 dp of top margin to the text view. So this final guy should have this final guy, which is this text view here, should also have the margin top of 8 dp. That was a lot of steps. Great job on working through them step by step. It requires a lot of attention to detail to get elements aligned correctly in the layout, but it makes the end result look much better. Run the app and it should look like the below screenshot by vertically aligning and increasing spacing between elements. They are not as crowded together. You're not done yet. You may have noticed that the font size and the color of the service question and tip amount look different than the text to the radio buttons and switch. Let's make sure these consistent in the next. Make sure these consistent in the next task by using styles and themes. So, all right. So the next section, they're talking about the styles and themes. Let me go ahead and run this so you can all can be able to see what it looks like at this point. All right, so we have, you know, the elements positioned in a more neat and clean manner. And so we added icons, and now this kind of look and feel is more professional than just sticking with like the default. But all right, so let us go on. Number 5, styles and themes. A style is a collection of a few attribute values for a single type of widget. For example, a text view style can specify font color, font size, and background color, to name a few. By extracting these attributes into a style, you can easily apply the style to multiple views in the layout and maintain it in a single place. In this task, you will first create styles for the text view radio button and switch widgets. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and post this as well to be so that people can have more of a reference of what a style is. So there's styles and themes in Android. And this is more specifically more on style versus theme. Okay. And so, let's go on. In this task, you will first create styles for the text view radio button and switch widgets. Create a new file named styles.xml in your resources values directory. If one doesn't already exist, create it create it by right-clicking on the values directory and selecting new values resource file. Call it styles.xml. The new file will have the following contents. Okay, so basically inside your resources, see if we have a styles. So resources values directory. So inside our resources values directory, we do not see a style. So we're going to go ahead and create that resource. We're going to go new values resource file. So here we're going to say new and then it says let's go to here, go to new, then we're going to Android resource file, and then this is going to be called styles And then, all right. So it created this for us, a styles inside the values folder. And then create a new text view style so that text appears consistent throughout the app. Define the style once in styles.xml, and then you can apply it to all the text views in the layout. While you should define a style from scratch, you can extend the existing text view style from the MDC library. When styling a component, you should generally extend from a parent style of the widget type you are using. This is important for two reasons. First, important it makes sure all important default values are set on your component, and secondly, your style will continue to inherit any future changes to the parent style. You can name your style anything you'd like, but there is a recommended convention. If you inherit from a material style, then name your style in a parallel way by substituting material components with your app's name tip time. This moves your changes into its own namespace, which eliminates the possibility for future conflicts when material components introduces new styles. For example, your style name widget.tiptime.textView inherits from the parent style widget.materialcomponents.textView. Add this to your styles.xml file in between the resources opening closing tag. So alright, so once let's add this particular style for the text view, and we're going to add this in between the resources opening and closing tag. And so alright, so the parent's going to be from the material components dot text view. So set up your text view style so that it overrides the following attributes: Android mid height, Android gravity, and Android text appearance. Android midnight sets a minimum height of 48 dp on the text view. The smallest height for any row should be 48 dp according to the material design guidelines. You can enter the text in the text view vertically by setting the Android gravity attribute. See screenshot below. Gravity controls how the content within the view will position itself. Since the actual text content doesn't make up this full 48 dp in height, the value of center vertical centers the text within the text view vertically, but does not change its horizontal position. Other possible gravity values include center horizontal, top, or bottom. Feel free to try out the other gravity values and to see the effect on the text. So it wants us to add some more things here. Set the text appearance attribute to appearance of body 1, text Text appearance is a set of pre-made styles around text size, fonts, and other properties of text. For other possible text appearances that are provided by material, see this. And so this is the this is the document that I'm going to share with you for more on the list of type scales. So it's a list of type scales. All right. Set the text appearance attribute value to attribute appearance body 1. Text appearance is a set of pre-made styles around text size, fonts, and other properties of other possible text appearances that are provided by material. See the list of types of scales. So it wants us to go ahead and so it wants us to go ahead and put this inside our styles. So said is adding to the text view. And so let's go to our alright, so it wants us to put these things inside for our text view. Minimum height 48 dp, center vertically, and the text appearance in the body. Apply the widget.tipTime text view style to the service question service question text view by adding the style attribute on each text view in activity main.view. So we're going to add a style to each text view that we have just got done creating. Okay, and then so inside our here they want us to add this guy to our text views. All right. Text view. All right. Oops. Okay. So we added that to the text views. Alright. Before the style, the text view looked like this with small font size and gray font color. After adding the style, the text view looks like this. Now, this text view looks more consistent with the rest of the layout. Okay, so they want this to be, uh, you know, black and not like gray. So, and also to take care of two birds in one stone, you can style all of the text views the same way. All right, and so now we're going to go to the apply that same widget dot tip time dot text view style to tip result text view. So the tip result, and then we went ahead and did that in the code. And if you specify an attribute on in a style, set Android dot text size the 18 SP, and also specify the same attribute in the layout, Android text size to be 14 SP. Then the value set in the layout 14 SP will actually be applied to what you see in the screen. So the same text style should be applied to the text label in the switch. However, you can't set text view style into switch material widget. Text view styles can only be applied on text views. Hence, create a new style for the switch. The attributes are the same in terms of min height, gravity, text appearance. What's difference here is the text style name and parent, because you're now inheriting the switch style from the MDC library. Your name of the style should also bearing the name of the parent style. Your style name widget.type.compile but compound but dot switch inherits from the parent style widget.material components dot compound switch compound button dot switch. Alright, so it wants us to go ahead and set this styling for the switch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that inside our styles dot xml. Then inside our styles dot xml wants us to go ahead and post our switch here, and then post 48 dp. Alright, and then you could also specify additional attributes specific to the switches in this style, but in your app there's no need. The radio button text is the last place you want to make sure the text appears visually consistent. You can't apply a text view style or switch style into a radio widget. Instead, you must create a new style for a radio buttons. You can extend from the MDC library's radio button style. While you are creating the style, also add some padding between the radio button text and the circular visual. Padding start is a new attribute you haven't used yet. Padding is the amount of space between the contents of a style and the bounds of the view. The padding start attribute sets the padding only at the start of the component. See the difference between 0 dp and 8 dp of padding start on a radio button. Okay. And then thirdly, it wants us to add the attributes and style for the radio button. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. And that's for the radio button. And with a padding of 8 dp, the padding start, and text appearance is also going to be body 1 to be consistent. And then says optional, create a demins.xml file to improve manageability of frequently used values. You can create the file in the same manner you did for the styles.xml file above. Select the values directory, right click, and select new values resource file. So select the values directory, right click, and select new values resource file. So and then we're going to make the new demins file. So new, it's going to be a new values resource file. So we're going to go to our resource file here. And then we're going to go to new Android resource file, and this one's going to be xml, and all right, and that is to manage dimensions. In this small app, you've repeated the minimum height setting twice. That's certainly manageable for now, but would quickly get out of control if we had 4, 6, 10 more components sharing that value. Remembering to change all of them individually is tedious and error prone. You can create another helpful resource file and resource values called dimens.xml that holds common dimensions that you can name. By standardizing common values as named dimensions, we make it easier to manage your app. Tip time is small, so we won't be using it outside the optional step. However, with more complex apps in a production environment where you might work with a design team, dimens.xml will easily allow you to change these dimens.xml. So yeah, that's also important when working on large teams. Um, you will probably see this common practice of placing all your dimensions in one area so that it can be more manageable. And so we're going to place the min text height inside the dimensions.xml file. And you would update styles.xml to use the dimensions min text file instead of 48dp directly. So instead of 48dp here in the styles, they want us to say at. So here it would be like at dimension dimen min text height, and then cool, so we have that, and says add these styles to your themes. So also we should add it to our file here. So what we did was let me see. So we up here we added the okay, so the radio button should take on that. Let me see. And the switch. So the radio button and the switch. Let me see. Then now equals the at style and that's going to be the radio button. Actually, compound button. This is okay. And then actually, let me see. So this one's this one. So tip time dot compound button dot radio button. So let me check. So tip time dot compound button dot radio button. So that matches. So we just gotta make sure we also set each one of the radio buttons to that particular style that they wanted. Alright. And then also we need to set the switch to a style. The switch right there, not the button, but the actual switch. This is widget. Okay. Switch. Alright, so this guy needs to be set to its respective style. So it's widget.tiptime.compound.switch. Alright, so we set that guy as well. So everyone has the same style that it's supposed to. Alright, now says Now we can add these styles to our themes. You may have noticed that you haven't applied the new radio button and switch styles into the respective widgets yet, which actually that's what I just done. That's what I just did. And so you may um the reason is because you will be using theme attributes to set the radio, button style, and switch style in the app theme. Let's revisit what a theme is. A theme is a collection of named resources called theme attributes that can be referenced later in styles, layouts, etc. You can specify a theme for an entire app, activity, or view hierarchy, not just an individual view. Previously, you modified the app's theme in themes.xml by setting theme attributes like color primary and color secondary, which gets used throughout the app and its components. Radio button style and switch style are often theme attributes you can set. The style resources that you provide for these theme attributes will be applied to every radio button and every switch in the view hierarchy that the theme applies to. There's also a theme attribute for text input style where the specified style resources will be applied to all text input fields within the app to make a text input layout appear like an outline text field as shown in the material design guidelines. There is an outline box style defined in the MDC library as widget.materialcomponents.text input layout.outline box. This is the style you'll use. Modify the themes.xml file so that the theme refers to the desired styles. Setting a theme attribute is done the same way you declared the color primary and color secondary theme attributes in an earlier collab. This time, however, the relevant theme attributes are text input style, radio button style, switch style. You'll be using the styles you created previously for the radio button and switch, along with the style for the outline box text field. Copy the following into themes.xml. So we're going to copy the following into themes.xml. And so we're going to go to our themes.xml, and then okay, so the items go inside the style here. And actually what the okay. I wanted to copy these. And then we want to go inside our style here. Alright, we wanted to add these items to the style. So, alright. This is what your resource things.xml file should look like. You can add comments in the XML if you want by using these. Be sure to make the same changes to the dark theme and themes.xml. The file should look like this. Okay, so inside also the dark one, we do the same thing here. Okay. Inside our themes. Then it says run the app and see the changes. The outline box style looks much better for the text field, and all the text now looks consistent. Alright. So let us go ahead and run it. So then did we add the outlined? So said where's the outline die at? Okay, so text input style outlines box. Alright, let's go ahead and play that. Alright, is it going? Or, alright. Okay. At an error here. Oh, it's the resource is it closed? There we go. Alright. So we had the outline thing going on there. And great. That looks great. So then number 6, for enhance the user experience. As you near completion of your app, you should test your app not just with expected workflow, but in other user scenarios as well. We may find that the same small code changes can improve the user's experience in a large way. Rotating the device. rotate your device to landscape mode, you may need to enable the rotate setting. This is located under the device's quick settings or under the settings display advanced auto rotate. In the emulator, you you can then use the emulator options located on the upper right adjacent to the device to rotate the screen. You'll notice some of the UI components, including calculate button, will be truncated. This clearly prevents you from using the app. To solve this bug, add a scroll around the constraint layout. Your XML will look something like this. So they want us to add scrolling, but just to demonstrate what they are talking about, I'm going to go ahead and play the app. And then, so when we rotate it, it actually, okay, so actually, I do already have the scroll there since I did go ahead and do the solution code, but before you would not be able to scroll down here. So that's what they're talking about. So let me see. So they actually inside the activity main, they have the scrolling. So they put everything inside this scroll view. So that's convenient. And so let us go on. So we put it in the scroll view. Run the test app again, and when you rotate the device to landscape mode, you should be able to scroll the UI to access the calculate button and see the tip result. This fix is not only useful for landscape mode, but also for other Android devices that may have different dimensions. Now, regardless of the device screen size, the users can scroll the layout. So it might be an idea to wrap your user interface in a scroll view regardless, just so you can be on the safe side, especially if it has quite a few items that may fill up small screens. Hide keyboard on enter key. You may have noticed after you enter a cost of service, the keyboard still stays up. It's a bit cumbersome to manually hide the keyboard each time to better access the calculate button. Instead, make the keyboard automatically hide itself when the enter key is pressed. For text field, you can define a key listener to respond to events when certain keys are tapped. Every possible entry option on keyboard has a key code associated with it, including enter key. Note that an on-screen keyboard is also known as a soft keyboard as opposed to a physical keyboard. In this task, set up a key listener on the text field to listen for when the enter key is pressed. When the event is detected, hide the keyword. Copy and paste this helper method into your main activity class. you can insert it right before the closing of the main activity class. The handle key event is a private helper function that hides the on-screen keywords if the key code input parameter is equal to key event. Key code enter. The input method manager controls if a soft keyword is shown hidden and allows the user to choose which soft keyword is displayed. The method returns true if the key event was handled and returns false otherwise. So for the hide the keyboard code, it wants us actually to go to the Kotlin code this time. And inside the Kotlin code, there's the main.activity. And inside the main activity class, it wants us to add this helper method. And then, so we have added the helper method here. And looks like we have to import some things here so that it will work. So okay, so it says now attach key listener on the text input text widget. Remember that you can access the text input edit text widget through the binding object as binding.cost of service edit text. Call the set on key listener method on the cost of service edit text and pass in an on key listener. This is similar to how you set a click listener on the calculate button in the app with binding dot calculate button dot set on click listener calculate tip. The code for setting a key listener on a view is a little more complex, but the general idea is that on key listener has an on key method that gets triggered when a key is pressed. A key press happens. The on key method takes an input of three input arguments: the view, the code of the key that was pressed, and a key event which you won't use, so you can call it underscore. When the on key method is called, you should call your handle key event method and pass along the view and key code arguments. The syntax for writing this out is view key code and then comma underscore, then the arrow handle key event view as a parameter and key code as a parameter. This is actually called a lambda expression, but you will learn about lambdas in a later unit. Add the code for setting up the key listener on the text view with the activities on create method. This is because you want your key listener to be attached as soon as the layout is created and before the user starts interacting with the activity. So main activity.kt, and then they want us to add the after the set content view dot binding dot calculate button dot set click listener, binding dot set cost of text set key listener to this. So this is the new part here. Inside the on create, after the calculate tip, and then right now we're doing the binding dot cost of service, edit text dot set key listener here, and then okay, then there's input method manager. There's something that they want for that. Import. More actions. Okay. Alright, so we, for the input manager, it wanted us to import this. Okay, great. And now it says test that your new changes work. Run the app and enter in the cost of service. Hit the enter key on the keyboard, and the soft keyboard should be hidden. Okay, so it's indeed. Okay, so, okay. It's indeed hidden, and then you hit the calculate, and then. Okay. So, what if I do like 50? Oh, I'm sorry. I used my. So we do 50, then we hit calculate, and then hit the enter button to close it. Okay. Okay. But in this version, I don't think we might not need all of that. Cause let me comment that out really quick. And let me try this again. And let me put in 50. Then when I put the enter. Oh, okay. I see. what they're saying. So when you hit this, wait a minute. So okay, let me I pull up this guy, then I hit the enter, and it actually, okay, let me just restart that really quick just to make sure that's true. And remember, I have that new code that they said to add is commented out. And then I click on our guy here, and I add 30 as our bill. Then I hit the check. It looks like the automatic default behavior, at least for the, for the number type, it closes anyway by itself, even without the code that we just added. So that looks like that's probably a new update to Android, to where we don't have to manually add the code for that. So that's one thing. So that's good to know. And then says um, so what I'm gonna do from here is it actually wants us to add a couple more things to the app, and these things are very minor, and I think our video has gone on pretty long so far already. So like I'm gonna tell you guys, if you want to add things like the talkback enabled and adjust the intent of the vector drawables, and the few other last finishing touches they want to add, I'll leave that as an exercise for you all to do. But these things seem to be very minor, so we're for this stream's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and skip these things, those last few things, finishing touches. So now the solution should look like this. So, and the solution code is on GitHub. So I'm gonna go ahead and post the solution code in the chat too, for you guys to be able to reference. Let me, yeah, I gotta go ahead and click on that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and post the solution code. Alright, so I posted that in our chat, and I'll leave that as an exercise for you guys to download the source code if you need it. And then, so the summary for this lab was: we use material design components where possible to adhere to the material design guidelines and allow for more customization, and add icons to give users visual cues about how parts of your app will function. Use constraint layout to position elements in your layout. Test your app for edge cases, rotating your app in landscape mode, and make improvements where applicable. Comment your code to help other people who are reading your code understand what your approach was. Format your code and clean up your code to make it as concise as possible. All right, awesome. And then, as always, I encourage you guys to learn more, which you can look more into text fields and switches and material icons, typography, theming, gravity, and make your Android app accessible. All right, so that's going to be our collab for today. I hope you all learned something. If you want to become or go on the journey with me to become an Android Pro, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and also comment on it. And as always, guys, this is J Coder, and stay coding. All right, guys, have a wonderful